So, as my colleague also said, I'm going to do the presentation, and after each chapter or each part, I will just make a little pause, and then we could have a quick questioning session where, yeah, I should answer all of your question or most of the question, depending how many they are. If there are many questions that I didn't answer, as also my colleague Elena suggested, we have the forum community where you can always post the questions there. And after the training or the webinar, I will check that post and try to answer as many questions as I can from you guys. Okay, that being said, let's begin. So the today training, it's about Dorado V6 maintenance. My name is Liviu Cristian Cădariu. As my colleague also stated, I work in Huawei Technology Germany GmbH, and I'm currently in the service and delivery team from Germany. My work began at Huawei 4 years ago in Romania, GTEC. So the first 3 years of my experience I had in service and support, doing tickets for all of the customers in Germany, and now got to the service and delivery part. A short overview over the presentation today. We're going to discuss in the Dorado V6 maintenance course about security configuration that can be done, alarm management, performance management, system management, storage space management, and collection and recovery of storage system information. We will begin the session with the security configuration management. Security configuration, such as authentication, access control, and user management, can help a user boost up the security of his storage system. There are 3 categories that I want to explain for the security configuration, and it's about the domain authentication server that can be configured, the configuration of an authorized IP address or an IP segment that has access to the storage, and configuring of various security policies for user login. We will begin with the domain authentication. As you may know, Device Manager allows user to log on to the storage system using the LDAP protocol, server authentication mode, to centrally manage user information. Basically, if a customer has an LDAP server configured, he can use all the users that are already configured in the LDAP server to be able to access also the Dorado V6 storage system maintenance. The authorized IP addresses. To prevent unauthorized IP addresses from accessing the Device Manager, the admin from the Device Manager can specify an authorized IP address, specified IP addresses that can access the Device Manager, or can specify shared IP segment. This will help improve the security of the storage. Device Manager being accessible only to the authorized IP addresses or the address segment that was configured on Device Manager. We have here also some security policies that will help our user boost up their system security. This one includes name policies, password policies, login policies, and some advanced settings like user account audit. All of this can be very easily implemented in the interface of the Device Manager from our Dorado V6. Okay, so as the first session, quick and yeah, if you would like to ask something, if not, we can continue to the next step.
Okay, so if anyone has any questions so far, please leave them in the chat box. If not, we will continue with the presentation.
Okay, then we'll just continue with the alarm management. The alarm management is mainly used and also known as you, mostly from all of you, also from the V3. And I would like to share to you first the categories in which we may put the alarms. First of all, we have the severity. There are 4 different severities from alarms from the Dorado V6. There are critical alarms, major alarms, warning, and information. As you may all know, critical alarms usually have impact on the services or causes the system to break down. In case of a critical alarm, the user is advised to clear immediately the alarm and check also the reference or what he can do to restore the system to normal functionality. Major alarms are usually alarms that have limited impact, limited range of impact on the storage system. It mainly has to do with some hardware failure. As you all know, most of the hardware in our devices and storages are redundant, so a major alarm including only one failure of a component, or it can impact the system performance. The third category is the warning. The warning has no impact on the device whatsoever, and the system only detects a potential or an imminent fault that might occur into the future. So warning should usually be checked, but they don't pose a threat for the moment for the storage system. And the fourth category is the information message. The information message is usually information about operations that don't have any effect on the device. Okay, checking the alarms. So checking the alarms, you can always go into the device manager at alarms and event and check the current alarms and the events. In the current alarm section, you may see the active alarms on the storage system. You can click on each of the alarm and see the detailed description for it. For each major, critical, or warning alarm, you will have a description where you will find around between 1 and 5 points for troubleshooting suggestion on that kind of alarm. If all of those troubleshooting suggestions don't work and you still haven't cleared the alarm or haven't solved the problem, you may always contact our technical assistance center and the colleagues will help you further with the clearing of the alarms. Email notification is another good feature from our Dorado V6, also known in the before versions. The device manager can send faulty information to specific email address. This is mainly used to help the customer, or if maybe the customer has some third-party engineers that are in charge of maintaining the storages, to help them in real time identify issues or alarms that are currently present on the storage. As you can see in the screenshots, the configuration is very easy. The user just has to configure an NSTP server, the port for it. It can choose encryption mode to be encrypted or unencrypted email, and then just type in a sender email address and a recipient email address. Another part of alarm management is the alarm dump. This option gives the possibility to the user to configure an automatic FTP or SFTP server for the alarms to be dumped when this thing happens, usually, you know, we have a limit for the Dorado V6. It's the same limit of 50,000 alarms and events that can be stored on a storage system. If there is no FTP or SFTP server configured, after this threshold of 50,000 alarms is reached, the first 10,000 alarms are automatically deleted, and yeah, they will be lost forever. If the customer wants to keep this or keep an archive about all the alarm management from the storage, he can configure this as the FTP or SFTP server, and then when this limit is reached, automatically the old alarms are then dumped and copied to this server. Another point from alarm management, we come now to the alarm masking. Alarm masking is usually has a beneficial or is used by customers who identified a fault. Let's say, for example, a fault on a link when there are multiple links from a storage to a host. And until this issue is resolved, he may mask this alarm so the system will not trigger the alarms and not send the information via emailing, or if the customer has e-service enabled, to not trigger and open unlimited tickets until the alarm is resolved. This also happens, for example, if there are alarms with bit errors. Those are recurrent alarms which will can pop up every 5 or every 10 minutes. And yeah, it will be just a spam of emailing sent to the customer about this alarm, or it should be also spam in the matter of sending emails and informations to our TAC about these issues if e-service is activated. So mainly you can choose from here. You have a table with all the alarms present on the Dorado V6, and you can either choose to enable or disable the alarm masking for each of them. Another feature from alarm management and used widely into the customer range is the syslog server. This operation enables the syslog server to receive device informations and events of current or configured severity levels from specific addresses. The configuration mainly is very simple. You just have to configure a port and a protocol from the server communication, and then just choose the alarm severity which you want the syslog server to receive: alarm recovery, event, or any other actions done on the storage like e-service collection log information. For the syslog server, the new feature is that now the maximum numbers of the syslog servers can reach 5 to 4 servers, and until now there was a limit only for 2 syslog servers. Depending on customer infrastructure, this may differ. Okay, so this was the alarm management part. I will just quickly open the chat and see if there are some questions. What is the latest version? The latest version for the V6 is version 6.10, and for the moment there is the patch level ASPH3. That's the latest version for the Dorado V6. The only difference is that if customer is in need of NAS features, then he should use the version 6.10. If there is no use of NAS features and only some features are used for the Dorado V6, then we still suggest for the customer to use the version 6.01, which ASPS 15 patch level. Catalin Dascalo, yes, SP5 is the latest version, but it's still not recommended to install it. Can we configure authentication and TLS at the email configuration? Depending on what exactly you want to configure, I will check about this and we'll get back to you with an information because I'm not sure about the TLS. Do you plan to integrate storage on IMS? As far as I know, we don't have in plan such an integration, but I can gladly ask my colleague from R&D team from development if there is such a plan. So I will get back to you with this answer. I know that the version 6.10 is blocked for the moment. It's currently blocked, but that's why. I just explained, because 6.10 is only used for NAS features. So if you are a service or delivery engineer who needs to implement or to deliver a project with 6.10, so the customer has the need of NAS features, then you will get access from our R&D team to be able to download the 6.10. If there is no need for the NAS features, then yes, the Momentum 6.10 is blocked and will remain blocked until the end of the year. Okay. We should continue with the next part, performance management. Mainly as a new feature for the Dorado V6, on the device manager, you have a tab where you can view in real time various performance monitoring data. You can either see a pre-configured dashboard where you can see the performance, like how many IOPS, how many throughput, and the latency for different levels. You can see the levels like array level, controller level, fiber channel card, Ethernet card, bond ports on the front end, backend SAS ports. You can also see the logical ports on host side, on loon groups, and also on loons. This is a pre-configured dashboard that can be easily used by customer to see the actual performance of the storage system. There is also a parameter where you can configure your own dashboard, and there, as you can see here in analysis, you can create a chart and you can choose the object type, again, on which plane you want to see, like array, controller, roon, or host. And then you can choose from the statistical metric more options that you would like to see, like the average CPU usage, the total IOPS, the average read and write IO response type, and many other parameters. Mainly, you can use the feature from eService Performance Management directly on Device Manager for the Dorado V6. Another part for performance management is viewing the bit error statistics. As you may know, you can go on Device Manager directly on the system, and then on Hardware tab, choose whatever card you want, like fiber channel card or Ethernet card. Then this will be displayed for you, and you can click the bit error statistics. You can directly check without need to collect the log files for it, to check all the bit error statistics on all the ports that are present on the storage system. This is mainly used, a very good feature, that it helps you directly identify if there is an issue on a port or link. Another point, what you can do for the performance management is checking the service lifetime of the SSD. This is also a new feature for the Dorado V6 firmware. And for the new products, you can go into the same view, system hardware, and then just click the controller enclosure or the disk enclosure, and the list of all the disks will be displayed. You can then see here the degree of wear, where it's estimated in percentage. You will see then the exact percentage of the degree of usage of each SSD. And also we have here an estimated lifetime left for the SSD. So customer basically can always check and know a bit in advance when the SSDs are going to wear off, or when it's time, or when it's about time to replace some faulty disks. For the performance management, it also has some parameters that can be set up. As you can see in the screenshot here, you can enable or disable the monitoring setting. You can choose a sampling interval of the real-time statistic. By default, it's 5 seconds, but if customer wants, he can also choose an interval about 60 seconds. And there is also an option to retain historical performance data. You can choose the retention period for this performance data to be called. It's between 1 and 3 years. And also choose the data storage location. By default, the location for for saving the performance files is on the same storage pool that has been configured on the storage. Okay, this is a quick overview for performance management. If anyone has some questions that he likes to ask. Okay. If not, then we will continue. It's time for system management. We will shortly start with the device manager homepage, which displays some current operating status, some alarm information, some system capacity trend that you may be able to see. System performance can be checked. And this information mainly helps you prepare for the device management and the maintenance. You can see in the screenshot more or less how it looks like. The first step in the system management is checking the indicators. The controller enclosures or disk enclosure indicator show the running status of a controller. By checking these indicators, you can promptly know the status of each component. I included in my presentation 2 of the most used models, or mainly the most sold products from our side. And we will begin then with Dorado 3000 V6. Firstly, the front panel. You can see here we have the running indicator of each and every disk. We have the alarm or the location indicator of each and every disk module. And on the side right, we have the power indicator / the power button of the controller enclosure. We have the location indicator, if this is on, and the alarm indicator of the enclosure. Okay. The indicator status for the front panel of the Dorado 3000. The most important thing that you should know is the running indicator that needs to be checked. If the running indicator of each module or system from the disk enclosure, like the running indicator from the disk module, the running indicator for the disks itself, if that is steady green, there is no problem and it's working in normal parameters. If there is any other color like blinking or blinking yellow, blinking green, then you should just to check the guide. There is a very easy guide. I will forward you a link with all this information where you have a list and tables that you can check all this information, or what each light, blinking green, blinking yellow, and so on would mean. We will then go to the rear panel of the controller enclosure from Dorado 3000. And here, as you can see, we have multiple indicators. We'll start from the left. The first indicator is the running and alarm indicator of the BBU. Let me also note so it would be easier for you to see. Right here. On each controller, the upper thing is the upper controller. And this is the second controller, controller A and controller B. For each of the controllers, as you can see here, we have the power indicator, the first one, then we have the alarm indicator, and if there is a component alarm currently available on the storage. These are the SAS HD expansion ports. You have here the port indicator for it. Then we have, it can be either 10GE or 25G port indicator that we find here. These are these 4 ports from each controller. Then we can see the speed indicator for the GE electrical port, and also the link and active indicator for the GE electrical port that can be seen here. Here we have the 3 mostly used ports. The first port is the management port, and the maintenance port, and the serial connection ports, again with the same indicator for the speed and for the active link indicator. Then we will just have the interface module. Each controller, as you can see, has 2 modules, and you have here the power indicator of these interface modules. And again, the indicator for each port, if the port is connected or not. On the very right side of the controller enclosure, you would have the running and alarm indicator for the power module. So these are mainly all the ports and all the indicators from Dorado 3000 V6 on the rear panel. Again, I also included a list of all the possible indicators and the colors of the indicators that could be mainly the same. The running status, if it's steady green, everything is okay, and the running and the components are running in normal parameters. If there are other colors, you should mainly use the link that I'm going to send you for checking if there is a problem or not. Now we're going to go to the indicators of the front panel for the Dorado 8000 and Dorado 18000 V6. You can see this is a much bigger enclosure, and there are also some differences in the indicators. On the front panel, on the left side, there is the alarm and the running indicator of the BBU. You can see this for each controller. The 8000 and the 18000 V6 can have either 2 controllers or 4 controllers. The sequence, as you can see, it's not in order A, B, C, D, but it's A, B, C, and D. Then we will have here the fan modules. You can see on each controller, you have up to 7 fan modules. And here is the indicator, the running and the alarm indicator of the fan module. And on the extreme right part, you have again the power indicator or the power button, the location indicator, if this is activated and you need to locate the storage, or the alarm indicator of the controller enclosure that lets you know there are some current critical or major alarms on the whole storage. We also have indicators for power, alarm indicator, and if there is a component faulty hardware in it for each controller. Okay. Again, the list of information with all the colors and the indicators. We will then go to the rear panel for the controller enclosure of the Dorado 6000, the Dorado 18000 V6. You can see here all the interface modules that are connected to the two types of Dorados. You can see here up, there is the power indicator for each interface module. From each of the interface module, you have here the indicator for each port. Depending on the card, you will see that status, if it's running or not. Then you have the power indicator from the management module, this being the management module. There is also a big difference. For the bigger versions, you have two management ports, one maintenance port and one serial port. Big difference is we have two management ports per two controllers. Then we have the running alarm indicator for the power module. And again, the same thing as the port indicator, the link and active indicator for each of the management ports, and also the speed indicator of this. Okay. And then again, the table with the specifications. The last thing I want to present to you about the indicators is for the 2U Smart NVMe disk enclosure. It mainly looks, it's a 2U controller enclosure, and it looks like the 3000 V6. It has the running indicator of each disk module. It has the alarm or location indicator of the disk module, the power indicator, power on button, the location indicator that is here, and the alarm indicator, which tells us if there is an active alarm on the disk enclosure. The indicators on the rear panel for the 2U Smart NVMe disk enclosure. We can see here for each A and B enclosures, we have power indicators of the power modules, alarm indicator, and if there is a hardware or field replaceable unit alarm indicator. Here we have the two ports, the 100 gigabit RDMA port indicator, which indicates if the port is on or off or working in normal working. Then we have the speed indicator for the management ports and the link or active indicator for the management port, again maintenance port and serial port. On the right side, we have the running and alarm indicator of each and every power module, which by default should be closed. If it's blinking, then we would have a problem blinking yet. Okay. The next section is about how to check the running status of each component from the Dorado V6 using the device manager. So if you are not on site, you can also check the status and the device running status, most of the hardware components, also from the device manager. We start with the controller enclosure or the disk enclosure. You can go in the device manager by the system view and choose the hardware, then click on the controller enclosure. You will have here on the right side information about the model, temperature, serial number, MAC address, and also very important, the health status. the health status can be either normal or faulty. If it's normal, the functionality and operating performance of the enclosures are normal. If it's faulty, then the enclosure is working improperly, and mainly there is also an alarm that can be checked for this. We also have the running status. It can be either online or offline, depending on the state, if it's powered on or powered off. Next, we can go directly to the controller. You can check here on the right side, you see the controller. You can see the location, if it's controller 0A or 0B, or if it's a 4-controller enclosure, you will see 4 beginning from 0A to 0C. And again, you have the health status, normal and faulty. Normal, everything is running in normal parameters, and faulty, the controller has some active faults on it. And especially running status, online or offline, if the controller is online or offline, powered on or powered off. The next view is about the power module. Again, you have here, if you click on it, you have on the right side more information about the type, the model, the serial number, manufacturer, some firmware version, and boom code. This is mainly used for our engineers for troubleshooting, and if they need to replace a part, you should mainly know this boom code here is very important for our engineers to replace. You can see the health status. That can be normal, faulty, or no input. The normal status means everything is running in normal parameters. Faulty means the power module is not working correctly, and no input. The power module is in the right position, but it's not providing power. Mainly can be a cause about the power source that has to be checked separately. And of course, the running status, if it's online or offline. The next part is about the controller enclosure BBU. You can check each controller has a BBU. The health status can be normal, if the functionality is normal, faulty, or insufficient power. Insufficient power means the BBU is in the correct slot or is inserted correctly, but the power is not into the normal limits that should be. Mainly, this can happen if the BBU is a bit older and the capacity of charging is not so good anymore. It has different running statuses. It can be online, charging, or discharging. The words say it by themselves. If it's charging, just charging right now, discharging, it means there is a problem also, or discharging. We can check also the device running status of each and every disk. If you click on the system and hardware view on each controller, you can turn the storage and see the front or rear view. So you can turn to see the front view and then just click on each of the disks. You will see the status either normal, faulty if the disk is faulty and then also an alarm is present, or failing if the disk is failing and will soon be faulty and needs to be replaced. There is also an alarm about this. And the running status, of course, online or offline. Then you can also check the host port. You can click on the designated controller and choose which ports you want to check, or click directly on the image on the port you would like to check. And you can see the health status, normal or faulty, and the running status, of course, if the link is up or link is down. Next up, you can check also the running status of the interface module. If you click on the controller, then choose the interface module you are interested in. Again, you will see on the right side all information about it, including serial numbers and boom codes, also health status if it's normal, faulty, and the running status, which is different from the others, running or powered off. Why? I will show you a bit later in the course. The third and last method, which is widely used in the Dorado V6 maintenance, is the inspection that can be done with our tool SmartKit. With SmartKit, you can implement different inspection policies and inspect devices to check the running status in a timely manner. If you are not used to it, SmartKit can be, if you don't know, SmartKit can be downloaded from our website and is a very powerful tool used for maintenance of all our storages and also servers. You just have to log into SmartKit, go on to the routine maintenance tab, and either perform a health check. Then a health check will do a routine check also on disks and also on the hardware components. Or if you need an inspection, it will just check also configuration and hardware information or hardware status of the devices. The last thing I want to present to you in this chapter is the powering on of a storage device. There is always a right power on sequence to do this. This is very important and needs to be known mainly by all of our engineers. The first step is to switch on the external power supply for each device. The second step is to power on the controller enclosure by pressing the power button. The third step is then to power on all the Ethernet switches or fiber channel switches, if there are any configured and there is not an environment with direct connection from storage to server. And the fourth is power on the application server if this is not already powered on. The powering off of a storage device, mainly why I show this is because of the first step. As you mainly know, before powering off a storage, it is very recommended to stop all host services. Then press and hold the power button of the controller enclosure for 5 seconds until the power indicator is off, or you can just power it off directly from the device manager. The third and last step is disconnect all the power cables from the disk and controller enclosures. The third maintenance step that can be done on our Dorado V6 is the restarting. Again, exercise with much caution because a restart of a storage can cause interruptions into the services running on the system. You can either restart it directly from the device manager. You have this little rod here and then restart device, or you can just use the command line and reboot system. What I was talking earlier when showing you the interface module, another thing that is very good to know, before you ever have to replace an interface module in the Dorado V6, it is recommended that you power off the interface module first. That's why the running status was online or powered off, and it's different from the others. You can do this exactly from the same view, system, hardware, just click the designated interface module, operations, power off, or then power on after the new interface module is inserted. The same actions should be done. Okay. This was the system management part. If anyone has some questions, I'll just open the checkbox. Okay, then we can continue. Storage space management. The storage space management includes mainly two chapters, so to say, either capacity expansion or capacity reclaiming. The capacity expansion is mainly used if the storage space is insufficient to store the service data, an expansion would be needed for the storage. You can check this and see also by yourself or from the customer. We mainly have an alarm, which is related to the capacity threshold in the Dorado V6. This capacity threshold is normally set on 80%. So when the capacity is 80% used from the whole storage system, there will be an alarm, a major alarm appearing for the customer. But this can also be set until 95% of the threshold. We usually recommend that this threshold will not exceed 85% of the total capacity from the storage, because after that, depending on various configuration or services that are running on the storage, there could be an impact on the performance problem if the capacity is not expanded in time. So this is a very important point and should be always taken into consideration. The second point, space reclamation. If all or some services of a storage system are no longer necessary, or some expanded space is unused, you can use to reclaim this space or by these services, and the unused space can be then allocated into new services or enhancing the space utilization. This is mainly used if, we should say, at the beginning, some LUNs were configured with too much space. At some point, customer may see, okay, those LUNs are not so much space consuming. So each and every resource from the storage, LUN file system, or so on, can be degraded in space, and then the capacity reclaiming can be started and the space can be distributed to some other resources where it's much more needed. I will just go to the last part and then go to the questions, because this was a short introduction. There is a long part, and yeah, we need a whole other presentation only for that part. Then we will just go to collection and recovery of storage system information. This is a very important step, mainly after a fault, of course. You can collect the basic information, fault information, and storage device information, and send it to our maintenance engineers that are at TAC. This will help the maintenance engineer to quickly locate and rectify the fault. Always remember, and this is a very important step that I also learned myself while being in the TAC, and also now, each time when you want to gather all sorts of information, log files, disk logs, configuration information from all of our products, it is very important that you must send the customer first an authorization form, so that the customer first authorizes us to gather this information from the file system. This is very, very important. Then a short explanation about the exporting system data. This can be easily and mostly exported directly from Device Manager. This data includes running data, system logs, and disk logs. The running data indicates the real status of the storage system, such as configuration of all the LUNs file system, host, etc. on the storage, and comes in a text format. So this is a very little file that can be exported and have an overview about the configurations that are done on customer storage. The system logs record the information about running data, events, and debugging operations on a storage system, and can be used to analyze the status of the storage system. The system logs are mainly in EGZ format, so basically like a zip or an encrypted format. A DHA runtime log is the daily runtime log of a disk. It mainly includes daily disk health status, I/O information, and disk lifespan. DHA runtime logs are also in DGZ format. The last kind of logs are the HSSD logs, which are the working log of each HSSD present on the storage. So here you will find information such as smart information that are located on the disk. This also comes in the format of DGG files. Another important thing is the exporting of the configuration that is done on a storage system. Mainly this operation is used before doing an operation with highly risk, like a firmware upgrade or an expansion of a storage. There is always a recommendation from us that you do first export the system configuration data. All the configuration data of the storage must be exported. This can be mainly used only through CLI using like a third-party software like Putting, and always into developer view. I put it here also the comment for it, and you must also know that this export of configuration file only works in combination with an FTP or SFTP server. So either the customer has an FTP or SFTP server configured for this kind of job, or you can use like a third-party software that has an emulator for a virtual file server on your PC. And then you would be able to download this configuration file locally. In the same manner, the after action that has to be done after a firmware update or an expansion is the importing of the system configuration. Why this is done? Because mainly it can come to problems, and then we should say all the configuration disappeared from the storage in a process of a firmware upgrade. If that happens, you are then saved if you exported the system configuration data. Then afterwards, after solving the problem and the firmware was, so to say, successfully installed, you can import all the system configuration. The system configuration contains everything from the beginning of configuration of management IP addresses, on management of LUNs, configuration of LUN, host, mapping views, everything that you can configure on the storage is saved in this configuration data file. Okay, so for the moment, this is my part. If you have any questions on this last part, interesting in importing, exporting configuration data, and the last thing that I presented, you're happily to write on chat.
Okay, so are there no questions so far? It means that everything was clear enough. Still, if you will think of some questions after the webinar, I will invite you to write them in the community. Thank you, Marco, for attending. Nice to see you here. Okay, for those of you who are not familiar with the community, I know that many of you are. I recognize many of you here, so thank you for attending this webinar as well. For those of you who are new to our webinar sessions, I just want to make a quick overview of the community. This is the technical community for all Huawei enterprise products, solutions, and certifications. I invite you to come here to post your technical issues, but also to share your technical knowledge with other community members. If you want to find out more about Huawei certifications, Huawei products, or need some support in issues that are not very urgent, then I invite you to post them here in the community, and the Huawei engineer or expert will reply very soon. The reply time for technical issues is under 24 hours, so you will get a solution very fast. You also have many learning posts, over 56,000 posts to learn from in the community. We also have over 200,000 members already, and the community keeps on growing. but in case you are not already a member, I invite you to join it now. We also have public recognition and rewards for our most active members. As of this year, we have started the Elite Users Program, where we invite our most active users to have different important roles in the community. So if you want to join as a core user of the community, I invite you to check out the Elite User Program. We also have high coins, which are the internal currency of the community, which you can use in exchange for the rewards in the shop section. And also rewards for different activities. We have regular activities every month. We have multiple contests that you can join and participate in, and where you can win. The same goes for the community post for the webinar. I will also send you the link here in the chat box. So I invite you all to check out the link I will send you now. And later on, Christian will present the 3 questions that I invite you all to reply in the comment section of the webinar post. If you want to win a gift card, then yes, we will also have the training video. I will upload it a bit later after the session ends. You will find everything in the community. So if you are interested in the video, just check out the link I sent you, and I will update this post and also add the recording of this session. And also, if you want to join the Q&A session, please go to the same link. And last but not least, in case you don't want to miss out future webinars, because we will have more webinars in the future, we will also have many more activities and contests. I would also like to invite you all to subscribe to the email notifications here. Based on your interests, you can select which type of notifications you want to receive. So for example, for webinars, you can select network, IT, cloud communication, wireless, and network energy based on what you are interested in, what you are working with. And you can select each of this, and you will receive email notifications before the webinar so that you don't miss out. If you have any more questions for us, I invite you all to present them here. If not, I invite you to go to the community and check it out and be active there as well. I would also like to thank you, Christian, for a really good presentation, and thank you for your time and support. If no one has any technical questions for you, then I invite you to present the questions for them. And in a few minutes, I will also update the community post and add the questions there so that everyone can start answering for the prizes. Okay, thank you all.
Okay, so I will just present the 3 questions. The first question is a single answer question. Sounds like this: what tool can be used to perform the routine inspection and check running status of the storage devices? You have here 3 options: eService, WinSCP, or SmartKit. Question 2, it's about true or false. Restarting the storage system will not affect services. You just have to answer true or false. And the third question is a multiple answer question. To ensure the security of the storage system, which of the following methods are used for storage system login? Domain authentication, configuring authorized IP addresses, and managing users. As my colleague said, these 3 questions can be answered on the forum, and there will be, there you can also write your answers and see the questions again. I would like to thank you again for all of you present today, and hope you enjoy this session. For the questions that I didn't answer, I will just note them and give the answer on the same forum later this day, or at least tomorrow, when I will get all the information for it. Thank you again, and yeah, have a nice day.
Yeah, thank you all. Just want to let you know that I have already updated the post with the questions. You can already start replying if you want to participate in the Q&A session. I left the link again here. Please go to this link and reply the questions. They're not here because the answers that you are sending here will be not taken into consideration. So please go to the forum post instead. Okay, I see many answers, no problem. Just go to this link and answer there and everything will be okay. I will also, as I said, I will also upload the webinar recording very soon. And if you have more questions on this topic, please don't hesitate to post them in the forum as well. So thank you all again for joining. Thank you for attending. Thank you for your time. I hope you will have a nice day, evening, depending on your time zone. And I also hope that you will attend more of our future webinars and activities. Check out the forum and see you again soon. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.